What is Dark World J, Raj? What is that? What does that mean? Good evening. Holy cow. I'm telling you, this is like the latest I've been up since last week. And I can't stop complaining about it because I am physically exhausted. Unlike my two energetic co-hosts here, Rob McCallum, Glenn Stanbragg. What's up, boys?
Hello, friends and neighbors.
I too am trying to summon some energy for tonight's show. These nightly excursions we're doing once a week are taking a toll. I haven't got quite into it yet, but I'm excited to see where things go tonight in particular.
I highly recommend moving back in time somewhere, guys, like me, so you can enjoy this robust daylight when we do these things.
Go back in time. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've spent a lot of time back there. I think I should move forward.
Not in the future like you guys.
Oh, I've seen the future, buddy. It's bright. Welcome, everyone in the chat. Look at all you wonderful people. Rob McCallum's in the chat. That's exciting.
That's me.
What's been going on this past week gaming-wise? Are you guys playing anything cool, or are you just sitting around picking your butts? What are you doing?
Oh, that's a good question. I think there's a lot of butt picking in there.
Oh, man. What a good question.
What a good question.
Had a pretty epic Balatro run last night.
I did play it. I installed it this morning and I played it.
Yeah, you tried it out. What's your knee-jerk reaction? What'd you think?
I certainly understand why it's addicting. I found myself like just okay, let's try this again. I will say I don't like poker. I've never liked poker, so there's still that. But I like the idea of bringing in like the overpowered cards and stuff like that. Like that's a pretty fun spin on it. So
cool,
it was pretty cool, man. It was pretty cool.
Cool. We'll tuck that one away to discuss a little bit later. But I'm glad to hear you got a chance to play it.
It's
Thanks, Game Pass.
I just gotta say it's a little bit bummy that you can't really own that game, though. You know what I'm saying?
No, you can. There are physical copies out there, my friend.
There are. Let's do it then. Let's do it.
Yeah, let me go find
Certain someone here may have one.
back here.
Wow, how big is that room? Oh my god. Ooh, nice.
Yeah, and the cool thing is
to get back and forth across that room.
it comes with 10 of the Joker cards random, and I think there's like 150 of them. So,
nice.
I don't know which I'm gonna get, but yeah, there it is. Of course, guess what, Jay? Hard to find.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Limited low print. I think it was released on every console physically, not limited run on their own. So yeah.
As most physical releases. Raj, 87K. Jay, did you see the new Doom trailer? I sure did. I'll have to pass it off to you guys as we've got escaped dogs here.
Oh, sure. Are you pumped for Doom, Glenn? Dark Ages?
I haven't seen the trailer at all, but based on the quality of the last couple, yeah, very much so. I think
there we go.
The batting averages have been very high on recent Doom games, so it is kind of hard to wrap your head around that whole run and gun mentality again. It definitely doesn't play like a more modern shooter would. Not a lot of hiding behind chest high walls, and
there is no stealth at all. It is straight fighter jet, right? Like you are just skyrocketing in there with as much firepower and I guess precision as much as you can.
I gotta say, you know what, boys? I kind of miss that. I kind of miss just the arcade experience of just going in there and shooting everything and just trying to survive as long as you can. So I'm looking forward to it.
There's apparently also a new Predator Badlands trailer that came out today that I just found out about before we got online, so I haven't had a chance to check that out either.
Predator Badlands.
It's the sequel to Prey.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean the movie?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, that's
a tangent. But just saying, I haven't checked out new trailers today. It's been a busy day in the day of Stanbuck.
We're going to get into, we have 3 different topics as chosen by each of us this week. But I thought it would be really fun to kind of throw this up. And I'm just going to ask the chat and you two fine gentlemen here. I want you to rate this game from 1 to 10. From the initial release date what you would have given it and now what you would have given it. Okay, so let's bring up one here. Now I want chat to go. So back in the day in 1990, guys, in the chat, what would you have given Mario when you first played it? And today in 2025, what would you give it out of 10? That's kind of the game we're going to play here. Before we get into our topics, look at that crisp, gorgeous image. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. Best box art.
How do you want to do this, Jay? You want to go past ratings first?
Yeah,
Present
Glenn,
ratings
what would you have
afterwards?
given Super Mario Brothers the year of its release when you first played it?
When I first played it, probably an 8. For me, it's a 10 now, though.
Interesting. Okay, fair
I
enough.
needed a little bit of age and wisdom to realize how good that game was.
Interesting. We got some 10s, Average Gamer, Bat Stand 10, 2 10s from Average Gamer. Torshi says 9 because I'm a Wario kind of guy. And Raj says 11 out of 10. You're cheating. Cheating. All right, Mr. McCallum, what would you have given Mario 3 in 1990?
It was a 10. There's everything about this game is a 10 across the board. I can't think of another game that I've been as excited for as I was excited for this when it dropped. No thanks
Yep.
in part to the Wizards theatrical promotional campaign, of course, and giving all the secrets away to the audience in advance for those that watched it.
Dude.
It's just such a fun game and still a perfect platformer. My favorite Mario title of all time.
Jimmy was a wizard. How he figured out what the flute did and how he figured out where to get the dirty old whistle. I mean, that's on another level of gameplay.
Hey, when you can get 50,000 on Double Dragon, you instinctively know where the whistle is on a game you've never seen before.
50,000 Double Dragon in like 3 minutes. That's pretty good, man. That's pretty
Telling
good.
you.
Stands up to
Matt,
scientific analysis.
Good to see you, buddy. 9 out of 10. Cartoon Kings, good to see my friend. 10. Back in the day, this would have got a 10 out of 10. Now, probably about a 7, I would say, for me. As the only reason being that this kind of platformer is not really my thing much anymore.
I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry. You don't
Why?
like it? Why is it not your thing anymore? How can you fall out of love with it?
It's just pretty boring, to be honest. Just this kind of game in general. We've talked about, you prefer the 2D Marios, and I like the Odyssey and stuff like that. So when we hit Mario 64 and went into the 3D realm, it was really hard for me to go back. I would say the same for Zelda too. I have a really tough time going back to the top-down Zeldas after playing like Ocarina. So it doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's just not mine. But I will still say, chat, the best box art of all time. It's the best.
Do you know there's some variants on this box art, Jay?
There are? With this pyramid logo on the bottom?
No, with where the Bros is positioned. They have it on the left side and the right side.
I didn't know that, actually. You better prop
There
up
you
your
go.
glasses after telling me that, though.
There you
Pretty
go.
amazing.
Everybody's going to go check what version they have. Is the Bros on the right side or the left side? This is the right side.
Now I don't even know which mine is. Nathan, welcome to VIP, buddy, and thank you for the membership. We're looking to get 10 memberships tonight, guys. That's a pretty easy goal. So, Nathan, thank you so much, my friend, for 1. Let's get into it. Okay, you guys want me to do my topic first, so we'll bring up mine. We are going to talk about Game Pass a little bit, and if this is the future of video games or not. I gotta bring up the right tab here. There it is. Game Pass. That's the wrong one. There we go. Perfect. Well, as we discussed backstage, we're not going to read these articles. Again, it's just kind of a point of reference, but we will kind of discuss, for those of you who don't know what Game Pass is, come on. It is Microsoft's answer to the PlayStation Plus, where basically you pay a monthly membership a la Netflix and every other platform, basically, and you get a pretty healthy amount of games, both from the classic Xbox through the 360 to the Xbox One era. But the big, huge thing with Game Pass is that you get games on day one. So we talked briefly about stuff like Indiana Jones, where Glenn and I got to play that through Game Pass. I don't know, like Glenn, would you have bought Indiana Jones?
I just want to add a little asterisk to what you just said, Jay. It's
Please.
Microsoft games on day one. Let's be clear about that. It's not necessarily anything. It's stuff Microsoft publishes or has.
Well, if you pay the extra tier, you get the EA access to, which is an extra like $7 or something I saw. Because I recently resubbed to play Monster Hunter, and I was like, "Nah, I don't need any of that EA stuff." But
I may have come around to purchasing indie if I didn't have Game Pass, just based on the positive word of mouth and the quality of the reviews. Like I may have found myself, picking it up at some point anyway. But I can't lie. I mean, the fact that it was on Game Pass is a huge win for me, and it really has been a huge win for me and any gaming I've been doing for the past several years now. Nathan pointed out in chat, Doom's coming to Game Pass. Day one, that just no brainer. Like, there's literally no risk to try anything. It happens to be there anymore. And I love that. But yeah, like a big part of me playing Indiana Jones definitely had to do with it being there day one.
I brought this article up specifically to talk about Oblivion. I want to get Rob's thoughts on this before we proceed into an organic discussion about this topic, as it seems to be a topic that always comes up almost daily on my streams. What are your thoughts initially with this? Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. It reminds me of the next evolution of GameFly. Do you remember that disc service that you could subscribe and you'd get? Much like how Netflix started. For some reason, GameFly didn't seem to be nearly as intrusive as this is. And when I say intrusive, I mean like potentially detrimental and a disruptor in the wrong way. I feel like games necessarily won't be valued as much when they're on Game Pass because people will take them for granted and become more entitled to what they're getting because, I got to plump down my money here and then I get whatever I want and I can treat this game like crap. And it just feels like anything nowadays, the media that you experience that way will become disposable. It sounds like a good carrot to lead gamers with, but I think you end up devaluing the art by making it homogeneously available.
There's what we want. Yeah, so I'm going to agree with you. There's good things and bad things about this whole business model. I'm just thinking like what I had Indiana Jones in my cart in Amazon 2 times in December. And I was playing through it on the stream, was playing through the game, and I finished it. And then I didn't end up purchasing it. And it's really weird to not have an Indiana Jones game, especially one like that was actually really good. So great because I didn't have to spend the $90, but bad because it's not in my collection. So if and when the time comes, there's always that fear, right? When they pull off Indiana Jones, is it gone for good? Like, where does it go? That's my thing. And I think my big thing with this kind of business model is the way that games get treated. Historically, they don't get archived properly. So when games get pulled off here, are they going to be accessible? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing that scares me about not having the physical game.
Yeah, I think it was in like the PS3 era when something was available as part of your PSN subscription, you could download it and then you would have the game on your hard drive. It wasn't taken away. You weren't streaming it. You had it. And the only way you lost it is if you deleted it due to lack of space. I don't know if it needed a server connection to like get through all the gates or whatever to allow it to go through, as some games require that connection. That's above my pay grade to completely understand. And I'm not sure if Game Pass works that way too. I imagine you have to download these things, but
so you download them, and then once you're no longer subscribed, you don't have access to them anymore. I don't think they take them off your hard drive. I think you have to do that, but you can't access them anymore. So,
yeah. It would basically let you know you had to go buy it if you tried to fire it up, and it was either no longer on the service or you didn't have a membership anymore. You can do cloud gaming via Xbox and Game Pass as well. I've had really mixed results with that, so I don't know that it would be my first choice in terms of how to engage with that stuff. But that is potentially an option rather than actual physical download as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I just kind of wanted to get everyone's thoughts and opinions in the chat as well. It always seems to come back to like Netflix and Disney Plus, but games are definitely going this way. And this has been a service since 2017. So by all means, it's not new. But it's just becoming more prominent. I mean, I played the new Call of Duty this year. Would I have played it? Absolutely not. I never would have bought that game. But I played it because, hey, it's there. You might as well download it, right? But this is kind of where... Go ahead.
Nathan in chat suggesting it's like the new shareware business model. I think it goes too far, though, because like when shareware was around in the early 90s, like you got like a portion of the game that was an enjoyable slice, like a good experience of it. And if you wanted, the majority of it or the rest of it, you could pay for it, but you didn't have to, right? Yeah. Like there was a lot of value to getting that. And then of course you owned it when you put the money down, but you weren't required to do that and you could still experience it. So there's something I like about the demoing side of things more than this. I just think it subtracts too much value from the people that are making the games themselves. Because if these games don't have value, what is the drive to preserve them in the first place?
Well, I mean, it's an art form, right? So there's always people like us who fight to preserve this. I mean, everyone's so against emulators. It's like, okay, fine. Well, why has there been 30 Taito collections and Little Samson is not on any of them? Someone explain that to me. Amongst the thousands of arcade games from the 80s and 90s that are just gone. They're just gone. I mean, that thought to me is terrifying. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but I can't see films being treated this way.
Films are treated that way, sadly. I mean, they've been doing a preservation effort for the longest time. That's why people get excited when something is added to the Library of Congress and preserved forever. But there are tons of films that have disappeared forever, and some really important ones at that.
I guess it's different for like if you look at arcade games because they were never commercially available. Do you know what I mean? So does that mean that they still shouldn't be preserved? Glenn, what do you think? Let's talk about something. I don't know. Let me think of a weird one like Lucky and Wild. It's just an obscure driving game, right? That Namco did. I think it was Namco or Taito years and years ago. That was never on any compilation to my knowledge. So, we have maybe a few video game magazines over the years with maybe some reviews of it, maybe a preview. Other than that, it's gone. Like that's terrifying. And I don't mean like something cool, Rob. Like we like Trees Lounge, the Steve Buscemi movie from the 90s, where it was available on DVD and now it's out of print. I'm talking about stuff that has just never been available. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're kind of going off to the right here a bit, but Glenn? Anyone? Anyone?
I wasn't sure if that was directed to me or not. What I'll say is, the physical collecting aspect of it is not something that's important to me. And I mean, you guys know this. Physical collecting is not, I mean, other than the way too many guitars I have at present, there's not a lot of physical collecting that I actually do. Certainly not for media. So in that respect, it doesn't really concern me. But I do find just the entire concept of lost media in general, not just with games, really fascinating, and I appreciate people having the desire to preserve that stuff and be able to go back and play it later. But to me, it's always been more a matter of like, let me experience the thing, even if it's not necessarily in the form that it initially was conceived as.
Right.
As long as you can get access to it, though, right? Like, what happens when
granted
goes under?
Fair. You still have to get access to it to be able to do that,
but there's even like, if you guys follow like the emulation community at all, the last few years, Sega, Nintendo, Capcom, Konami have gone through these major emulation sites and taken everything down, which it's their stuff. They can do what they want with it. But in the meantime, they don't give us an alternative. Like they don't put these games up and make them available on, say, like the Switch online. They're just gone. What's up, Joe? I am not, my friend. I've got a bite on one though. My buddy works. He's like a rep for Nintendo, so hopefully he'll hook me up. We'll see. We'll see. So yeah, I guess we're kind of going off a little bit. But I just think that the route we're headed, like I saw a commercial for the new Captain America movie, and it said "Own it on digital only." Okay, fair enough. So I'm gonna buy it on digital only. Let's just say on Disney Plus.
Did they actually say own it? Just curious. Like, was that the
Yeah, they
language
said own
they
it.
used?
Yep, it was
Oh,
20 or
that's a
30
lawsuit
Canadian,
waiting
whatever
now.
it was, right? And it's like, okay, so I'm gonna buy that. Now, when I buy that on Disney Plus, correct me if I'm wrong. I buy that movie, and once I'm no longer subscribed to Disney Plus, I don't have access to that anymore.
So
Correct?
Disney Plus doesn't have any purchases available yet. They're not
Okay.
embedded in it. But on
No,
Apple, if you were to
Amazon
buy-
Prime.
It must have been
Prime.
Amazon. I thought then.
yeah, if it was on Apple or Amazon, then you have it. And all you have to do is be able to log in to watch it in theory. But two exceptions. One, it's always just a license and something could happen to their servers and you might not get it again. Two,
Yeah.
if you change countries and switch your account, you aren't guaranteed to have the same access to the same content that you purchased because you purchased it in a license in another geo area.
Right.
For example, when I lived in America, all my accounts were American. When I came back here, because I'm originally from here, but I live there now, I'm back here, and I wanted to switch everything over, Apple said quite specifically, I may lose access to certain content, and it's not their responsibility if it is gone because I am making the decision to change my account region.
Yeah, I mean it's what's the one that we always bring up, chat? Oh, Willow. We always bring up the Willow TV show.
Oh yeah, here there, and now gone forever.
Doesn't like I don't even care if it's terrible. I've heard it's terrible. I don't care. My point is, it's just gone. But you can make an argument. Well, it's Disney. They can do what they want with it, or is it belong to us now that it's been released and we have a right to see it? I don't know, but. This is what started in the 2000s with Napster. We saw what happened to the music industry. Movie theaters are rapidly dying, save for blockbusters like Captain America and Minecraft. People just aren't going to theaters anymore. Why would you when you can just watch it on your couch around the same time? Home releases are so quick now. From
45 days.
It's so quick, right?
45 days, a month and a half.
Remember, it used to be summer, and then at Christmas, own it on VHS or DVD.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah,
There was
and
a
now
solid
it's so
4-day minimum before, or 4-month minimum, and then that went down to 3 months. But it was usually 4 months because theater owners knew that 4 months wasn't quite enough to time a release. If it's a summer thing, you kind of want to push it to Christmas, and if it's a Christmas release, kind of want to push it to spring. But our attention spans have gone down way too much, and we just can't wait anymore. And the sad thing is, we're cycling through the media faster than ever in the release strategy, but we're getting less films released more than ever. I mean, Disney put out, I think, 12 major blockbusters through their actual Disney brand last year. And before it used to be like 30, 40, 60, plus all their sub brands like Touchstone and whatnot. So it's crazy.
The stuff is devalued so much, dude. It just is.
Yeah.
And it's this business model, and I'm to blame too because I'm subscribed to Game Pass, and Game Pass is one of many. But I'm subscribed to it. I'm subscribed to Switch Online, so I can play Majora's Mask, once in a while, So I'm part of the problem.
So here you go. Here you go. This is perfect because this hits home. Nintendo 64 Quest on Blu-ray 3-disc copies are out there now on n64quest.com. You can get your copy. Guess what the number one question out there is, chat? Where can I stream it? Can I get a digital copy? And right now, the answer is no.
No,
You can't.
go to heck.
Will you? Will you get a copy digitally? Will you be able to stream it? Not anytime soon. You know why? Because they want to pay us 6 cents for every 3 episodes you watch uniquely one time. Now, I don't know about you, But this costs a lot of money to make a 14 episode series, and we can't really afford to get by on 6 cents from when you watch 3 episodes uniquely once. Meaning, if you go back and watch it again, I think we get like 1 penny for every 3 episodes. And that's because nobody values media anymore, because people are only willing to spend $10, $15, $20 a month and then complain when there's a $1 price hike or $3 price hike after, 3 years or whatever it's been. And now they got to sit through commercials. Oh.
I wanted to highlight Nathan's comment there. We want immediate gratification. Yeah. And I was talking earlier in the week about, Rob, you'll remember this, like when we used to go down to the record store, the indie record store, Dr. Disc in town, and we would find a live bootleg, we'd find a single with a B-side on it, how special that was, and how we would take that home, and it would be like this event, right? Like the whole weekend would revolve around, because it was just so special and so rare that we found it. And now it's like
midnight launches. It's just like midnight launches.
Midnight
right?
launches, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it
just
was special.
standing there in line. Like you look at Halo 2, I did it, you did it, Glenn, you did Halo 2, I'm sure. Those like Call of Duty launches, Grand Theft Auto, all that stuff, just, Star Wars midnight launches for the movies, just being around other fans who are into that.
Making it an event, embracing the event, putting the effort forth to celebrate something. T-Rex doesn't want to be fed. He wants to hunt. We're just getting fed constantly. Before we realize it, we're slapping it in a package. We're branding it.
Yeah.
It's just
this T-Rex does want to be fed. He just wants to be selective about his meals.
Now I gotta say, let me play devil's advocate. A classic Rob McCallum move here, where I'm gonna say, during the pandemic when Bill and Ted 3 came out, and the Irishman, I could have gone to see them in the theater, but I'm like, you know what? It's pretty cool that I can just sit on my couch and not have to go to the theater, which I absolutely detest anyway. This is kind of cool. So I'm wrestling back and forth.
You didn't wait for streaming to enjoy it because you decided that you were only going to pay $10 a month for streaming. I think The Irishman was on Netflix, but Bill and Ted came out digitally first for 45 days. I plunked down my $25 to have premiere access and digitally own it instead of waiting for it to come on some streaming site later. That was the best way that I could support that. If I could have seen it in the theater, I would have been there.
Rusty, what's going on, my friend? Rusty says, side note, same thing is happening with books as well. Torshi says it's like all those cult movies that have influenced culture, like Streets of Fire and Blade Runner, not doing well at the box office. It changed everything. Well, dude, look at the indie boom of the 90s. Look at the amazing films we got in the 90s that would never see the light of day today. There's so much of that.
I think we'll maybe get to this when we get to Glenn's topic on the state of the industry, but I can speak for it from the film side. Because studios know it takes as much effort for them to produce a $100 million film as it does to produce a $10 million film, they'd rather produce a $100 million film because they know that the box office return will be 10x that of the $10 million film. And they know that they're going to almost always capture a bigger audience. So they don't want to put the same amount of effort forward, even though they're only spending $10 million. And this is why we're in the state of the industry that we are, because they don't want to take a chance and have these varied tastes out there, even though they can make 10 films for the same cost as one. They'd rather hit that home run.
Well, and yet to your point, Rob, off air before we started this chat, we were talking about Sinners. For anybody who hasn't seen the new film Sinners yet, I highly recommend going to see it. It's incredible. But this is a movie that I think had a $120 million budget, and it had an opening weekend of $60 million. And the next day you're seeing an article in Variety going, okay, well, maybe it's profitable, but is it really? And questioning its value. So that's the other thing you're seeing happening in games right now, is that it's impossible to define what success is, because success by any rational metric doesn't seem to mean anything anymore.
Okay, so before we move on, Glenn, because you are in the industry, and I asked you this on the phone when we were talking a couple weeks ago, How do you sustain this? How are video game companies making money? And I don't mean Oblivion because that's Microsoft, that's Bethesda. I'm talking about like
Sure.
other companies. How do you make money now if you're
I
just
can't-
going to Game Pass day one?
So I can't speak to Microsoft Studios because I don't know how that works for internal studios with Microsoft or studios that Microsoft has acquired. I don't know what kind of compensation they see. If you're another studio and you've got a game that's on Game Pass and you're negotiating with Microsoft to have your game show up on Game Pass for X number of months, you're getting paid. Like they're cutting you a check, make no mistake. It's not like you're coming out of it without anything, but you have to do the math yourself on, the risk reward, right? Like, am I potentially making more money by agreeing to have my product on this service for X number of months than I would potentially recoup by physically trying to sell or digitally trying to sell my game for that same platform without being on that service? That's the calculus that's being done, right? So like Balatro is not there for free. It's not there gratis. Like they made money on that deal. The question is, what are they making versus what they could potentially be making by just selling the title instead? That's really what it comes down to. So if I'm a studio and I'm making a deal with Microsoft for that, that's the calculus I've got to do. It's like, yes, I am going to see this money now, but what could I have made?
Yeah, so it's a risk, right? You're rolling the dice.
It is.
You're basically every time. It's interesting, chat. Always, feel free to weigh in. Let us know what you guys think. It's PlayStation Plus.
I just want to stop you for one sec because I do want to ask, what's your negative argument against Game Pass that does not relate to preservation of media or lack of physical media? That's what I want to know.
Well, I want to make
downloading. Oh, I hate the idea of downloading a giant game and waiting forever. Give me the disc so I can play it right away. Oh, wait, I can't even do that with games today, which drives me nuts.
I want to make sure that smaller companies are getting a fair cut, that they're not being bullied into, well, if you don't have it on Game Pass, you probably get lost in the shuffle. There's probably a lot of that going on. Do you know what I mean?
Torshi, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing your name right, mate, but I saw this comment earlier in the chat to you, bang for your buck for gamers, just horrible for studios. I don't know that that's true. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to make. Like, until people start opening their books publicly and going, hey, yeah, these are our finances. I don't know that it is a horrible deal for studios. It probably really depends on the studio and it depends on their reach, right?
I also think it depends on the gamer too. Like, Game Pass is what, $30 in Canada a month?
There's 3 different levels.
I think it's 27. Yeah.
Okay.
That's for the big tier one, I think.
Okay, so I mean, how often are you guys buying a game at full retail price versus how many months are you guys going by that you're not buying a retail game and you're just relying on Game Pass? Is it like 3-1? Because then that cost kind of evens out. Or how much time are you spending playing to justify that $30? I mean, I don't have a ton of time to play.
I will throw a third option, which is mine, Rob, where it's like, how many months do I not do anything with it and keep getting billed? That's a me problem, yes, but that is exactly what they want. Oh, just forget that you have this charge every month, and then I'm like,
is there an annual discount too? Like if you buy the year in advance, do you save 10%?
Probably, but I never do that because I don't want to commit to that. But they're probably.
I got it bundled with All Access for like 2 years too, because that's how I also bought my Xbox. I did the monthly deal that had Game Pass Ultimate wrapped up with it. Yeah, it's. I guess the counter argument I'm going to make for everything is there's so much stuff that I've played because it was on Game Pass that I never would have played otherwise. And there are titles I have bought because I played them on Game Pass first. And they either stopped becoming available or I wanted them from a different platform. Balatro is the most recent example. I bought it for the Switch because you talked it up to me, Rob. I tried it on Game Pass and I'm like, it'd be really great if I could play this on my Switch while my wife is watching TV. So I bought it on Switch. Control, one of my favorite games of the last several years. And I mean, I bought that after it came off Game Pass. Carrion I played because it was on Game Pass and I picked up. There are so many games that I would not have been introduced to otherwise. And that's part of the calculus here for studios as well, because there's the argument for, if you're potentially going to get your game in front of more people who would otherwise not have potentially been part of your consumer base. They weren't going to spend the money on that game necessarily because the marketing didn't get to them or the marketing didn't hook them, but they take a flyer on your game on Game Pass and they've played it. There's value to that. If that person's a streamer or their media, there's value to that. So, I mean,
I'm curious. I'm curious what the proposition is business wise for, like Local Thunk, who made Balatro, to be on Game Pass. What were they offering them to get them on Game Pass, or were they applying to be on Game Pass as a studio, hoping that they get a rev share of how many like downloads or minutes played? Like in the film side, when you do something like AVOD, which is advertising video on demand, you get a cut of the revenue that's shared, much like YouTube does.
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to. I can't speak to that stuff at all because I have no idea how that process works. I don't know. Microsoft just cuts you a check for a big number and they go, "This is what we think it's worth to have your game on here." I don't think it's necessarily influenced by subscribers. I don't think it's necessarily influenced by subscribers. I think Microsoft's concerned about subscribers for their bottom line, but I don't think that necessarily affects what a studio makes on what their game earns from being on the service. Because I think that's a shit deal. It's a shit deal for a studio to sign a contract based on what somebody else's subscriber rates are. That doesn't make any sense to me in a business case. So I'm more inclined to think that there's.
I was gonna say that's kind of how the film industry works, though, right? Like Netflix will give you a bigger license fee because they have a bigger user base, and that kind of holds true, and it has for a while.
Right, but does your check go up or down every month depending on how many subscribers Netflix has?
When you make the license deal, it would. So when you make that deal, depending on where their financials are, probably relative to 365 the last year.
Right. So I'm not talking about I'm not talking about at the time you sign the contract. I'm just saying I can't see that fluctuating with subscribers.
Yeah, no, it's not like a mortgage rate where it'll fluctuate month to month depending on interest rates. Yeah.
Well, there's also
sorry, I was just going to say to Nathan's point in chat, there's monetization too, right? There's free to play games. There's games with monetization built into Game Pass too, where people are making money off of selling costumes, DLC, you name it.
Nobody's going to spend money for a skin. Nobody would do that.
And that's the thing, Glenn. I have zero problem with that. I think that's totally fine. Loot boxes and all that, I don't even care. Just buy them if you want, right? That's up to you. But since Napster reared its head, everything has been devalued and everybody thinks everything should be free, right? Music should be free. Why would I pay for a Black Sabbath album when I could just download it?
So let's just say, though, I know we're picking on Napster, that they devalued everything. Perhaps we were getting charged up the ace for stuff that wasn't quite worth what we were having to pay. $30 for a CD with really only one good hit track from the one hit wonder 90s eras. Like, we were getting completely raked over the coals, and something had to happen. And Napster was the cause of that. Like, Napster was the answer to
well, you got that right.
Corporate America saying, "Oh no, we can take as much money from you as possible. Everybody deserves a life of hookers and blow. Well, not no more."
Well, yeah. Now we have nothing. The music industry has collapsed. Why would a kid pick up? Why would a kid pick up a guitar now? Someone tell me why.
Because I can't download it digitally. I can't stream playing guitar.
Why am I going to pick up a guitar? I'm not going to make any money. Why would I want to do that?
Are you picking up a guitar to make money in the first place? I mean, I guess it's a good motivating factor.
Yeah,
right?
It's true.
I'm sure somewhere playing a guitar is still popular. It would still get you.
This is such another rabbit hole to go down. But
it's good though. It's good, and I'm sure I'm kicking Parker around, but it would have been someone else who discovered how to do that. But my point is, and then my beloved YouTube, the culture of YouTube is, well, it's free. Everything's free on YouTube. Twitch, everything's free. Free. So everything should be free. It's embedded in us so much now that the notion of having to pay for something, even like games like Fortnite, well, that's free. Oh, I don't know if I want to pay $80 for that game anymore.
Right, but when are people going to realize that this stuff isn't free just because there isn't a monetary cost? Somebody's got to wake up at some point and say that your time has value and you're getting inundated with ads.
Yeah, they're going to realize it when it doesn't exist anymore, is the sad truth of the matter.
Yeah,
It's a real
what's up?
don't know
Wake
what
up.
you got till it's gone situation.
I don't disagree with you. Like when I stream and stuff like that, I put videos together. I know that I'm the product. I have no problem with that. My issue is there's a lot of people that don't understand that, and they think that everything should be free. So take for instance again Fortnite, one of the biggest games on the planet, and then you charge $20 for skin, and all of a sudden everyone's back goes up. I'm not paying $20 for like a Metallica skin. It's like, why? You got this game for free. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's ridiculous the fact that companies are not allowed to make money or people aren't allowed to make money. Everything should be free. I'm with Rob on that. I think it's insulting as an artist, and I think it's ridiculous. Like, how are people supposed to survive or make a living?
Or make more content.
Yeah, you make a video, or do a live stream, and you constantly come up with nothing. Well, it's like, why you just can't do that anymore. It's simple economics, right? So for Fortnite to charge $20, sir, just one sec, $20 for a skin or something, I think is perfectly reasonable, considering that they gave you the game for free.
I'm curious, Glenn, because I know you have experience in this area. What costs more, the actual development and creation of the game, or the ongoing live ops? And at what point does live ops and constant bug fixes like surpass the digital like development of the vanilla 1.0 version?
It really depends on the nature of the support you're doing for the product after it comes out. Because if you need to feed a content treadmill that needs to be fed in a very rapid pace, the only way to get around that is resources. So it's going to be inherently more expensive because you got to bring people on to be able to feed grist to the mill.
Right. Exactly.
And in most cases, that takes more doing than the actual, production cycle of the game, right? That's an issue for a game when you get, you're in the home stretch, you're in the last 6 to 8 months of release, and you're trying to hit a date. Yeah, okay, bring some people in. Let's make sure we hit this date, whatever the case may be. But when you're talking live support, that's just an endless treadmill of making stuff.
And that's an endless treadmill making stuff, whether it hits or not, whether it continues to hold the same value and continues to pay off at the same ratio or not. You have to constantly keep investing in it or investing more until you keep that level of income up. I mean, that is the carrot at the treadmill. Like you said, it is like, how much does Fortnite have to invest in stuff like that? My goodness.
Well, let alone like what do they have to license to get some of that content in the game too, right?
Well, I mean, you mentioned like the Metallica skin. I'm thinking like, they're making $2 off that $20 Metallica skin.
But Torsia, I'm going to get to your comment in 1 second. But Rob, it was like, remember the first Guitar Hero where it was all covers and Harmonix and Activision went to bands and said, can we license yours? By the second one, it was half and half. By the third one, bands were knocking on Activision's door. Can we please get on Guitar Hero? Mm-hmm. That's like what Fortnite is now. Fortnite was chasing all these IPs, and now they're like, everyone wants to be a Fortnite skin because the biggest game on the planet, arguably.
Because you have, 300 million daily users or whatever it is getting exposed to that one new thing. It's like, here, take the skins for free. We just want the advertising and the exposure to 300 million people.
Okay, so I'm not the biggest Metallica guy, but I will defend Lars. Okay, I will, because again, it's like I was saying. Sure, they're millionaires. They were millionaires in the year 2001 when all this started. Okay, but I will say, I don't like how people shame people for being rich for what they earned. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
the notion that they
or wanting to get paid for something you make regardless of your current financial status.
It doesn't matter that they're millionaires already. They still have the right to get paid for the music they created. This notion that they've got enough money, I think, is ridiculous.
And frankly,
the thing that's funny.
You need someone like Metallica to stand up and say that. So nobody else underneath them, which was 99% of the world at that point, has to stand up and say it, because everybody's going, yeah, no, we get it.
The thing that's funny to me about this is that we're still joking around and picking on Metallica over something that happened like 30 years ago, and they were right.
Yeah, it was very significant.
They were right. They saw the current landscape of media coming and tried to do something about it, and the masses were against them. And now we're where we are. And now it's like, if you're a musician, good luck to you actually making a living, because we've already decided your music's worth nothing to us. We
Yep.
sure as hell don't want to pay the money to go see you anymore because concert ticket prices are through the roof. We're going to take away every possible means of you making income from the thing that you create.
Well, except for touring, and that's why concert shirts are $60, and
Well,
why
then that's why tickets
are
cost as much as
100.
they do too. But we don't want to pay the concert ticket cost. We want to complain about it. And I appreciate the Ticketmaster's part of the problem there, but it still comes down to, like, we're systematically removing ways for these people to make money, and then complaining about it. So it's fun to pick on Metallica, and it's easy to pick on Metallica, but they saw this coming, and it's hard to look back and not have that perspective, I think, in all honesty.
Okay. Who's next? That was a good topic, guys. Thanks for we kind of veered off, but that's okay. Do we want to do
Worth it.
11 best video game sequels? Rob, you want to do that one next?
We could
Talk
talk
about
sequels, or we could jump to Glenn's. Either will work. I mean, we are almost an hour into this too. I think if
They're
we
a bit
went
intertwined too.
Yeah, so maybe we just go back and forth. So I threw the idea out of the chat, since Mario Kart World is getting so much discussion nowadays. Everybody's like, is it worth it? Is it worth $80? Like, there's always so much attention on the number, right? And last week we kind of said, well, you got to invest in it. It's an investment, because, like we just said, that what they're going to do down the road, the way that they're going to constantly invest in it. So the big question I had is, what do we look for in a sequel? What have some of our favorite sequels been as a result? And I literally Googled, and the first thing that came up was, here are the 11 best video game sequels, according to Kotaku readers. Not
Right.
Kotaku readers. So, I mean, I'll just throw it to you guys. What are some of your favorite sequels, and what do you guys look for in a sequel when it gets announced?
I will talk about, I would say, my favorite series, Resident Evil, and I will say, for it to be just a little bit different. Not a whole lot, but just a bit. So I would say, if you look at Resident Evil 1 or 2, which are very similar, and then look at 4, I think that's a great sequel. 4 is more action while still keeping it scary. It's more linear than 1 and 2. So I would say, just don't copy the exact same formula, because you can then go back to the first game, and that will always have value, and it will always be a different experience. That makes sense?
So give me the same, only different.
Give me the same feel, but you can make the game different. Like, don't make it like Resident Evil 6, where they turn it into a Michael Bay action film. That's not what I mean. If you want to change the gameplay mechanics up a bit, fine. Keep it in the same world, make it feel the same, but you can change the mechanics a tad. That's my idea.
Yeah, Glenn, what do you think? What do you look for in a sequel, and what are some of your faves that kind of support your rationale?
Well, let's start with some of my faves, and maybe we can mentally work our way backwards from there. I see Mass Effect pictured here. I think Mass Effect 2 is fantastic. Big fan of both Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion, and also Metroid Prime, which are all very different takes on similar source material. I love Alan Wake 2. Those are some of the ones that come to mind off the top. Jay kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, it's got to be similar enough that you recognize it for the thing that it is. But I think it's really important, especially in games, that you kind of have to push the boundaries of what the thing does. I think part of the reason why Resident Evil 4 is as good as it is, and Resident Evil 4 would be another one of my favorite sequels, Jay, by the way, thank you, is Capcom had realized that the template wasn't really working anymore. It was getting a little long in the tooth, and it was getting a little tired. So they just turned everything on its head and kind of reimagined what a Resident Evil game could be. And it just completely breathed new life into the experience while still feeling like a Resident Evil game. I think it's got to be able to take risks, especially in games, because with games you frequently, I should say, have technical advancements between releases too. Not always, but a lot of the time. So on one hand, you're trying to push technology, and you're trying to see, well, how can this technology improve our vision of our art? Like, how do we better project the experience we're trying to project based on these new things that we have access to? But it's still got to be at its core recognizable as the thing that that people loved. And that's a tricky tightrope to walk, and it's especially tricky when you've got studios really churning out sequels to whatever they think they can sell, because it is a safe bet in an industry that has a lot of challenges.
See, that's my favorite thing that people kind of forget too, right? It's like once there's that hit out there, or that the game that has done quantifiable business, it's like that door is open for the sequel discussion. Now, the first sequel might not be good, but now you can still do a third one, and if it harkens back to the first one, then hey, great, that's a great follow-up. Don't get long in the tooth, like Jay said with Resident Evil 3, Code Veronica. Like, wait for Resident Evil 4. Breathe some new life. Do a little bit of this. Give me some new enhanced graphics that are supported by the technology of the era. Give me, something new that is going on to make it feel a little fresh by virtue of the technology that's happened too. Anything, once you have one hit, especially in the gaming world, you now have the door open for unlimited sequel potential. And I think that's a really dangerous thing. And I'm curious what you guys think the limit is on that. How many chances do you give a franchise before you don't open that door on sequels anymore? And is there one that comes to mind where you feel like, oh, wow, this has been killed? The spin-offs don't work. The reimaginings don't work. The proper true sequels in the main line don't work. Put this thing to bed. There is no more life that we can breathe into this.
You're looking at it right now on the screen.
I feel that way about Call of Duty as well for like 10 years.
My vote would be Sonic. Would also be in that realm. There
Sonic.
are a few good ones, but holy Hannah, is there a lot of bad Sonic games, especially after the Dreamcast's demise until kind of recently, to be honest.
This one here, having recently played through all three of them, by the time I got to the third one, the story got less and less. And by the third one, there's barely any story. It's just all shoot, destroy everything. And it was just, there was nothing left to it. I mean, I don't think, this is just my opinion, Chad. Okay, it is. I don't think Halo is a particularly deep story. I don't think it needs to be. But when you're 3 games in and you're trying to make this huge cinematic universe and you're not really seeing anything, I'd say Halo 3. I agree with Glenn with Call of Duty. And with Sonic, Sonic 2, I think, is the peak for me for Sonic games. But it's amazing, Rob, when talking about Mario 3, how Nintendo makes Mario games, and you could make an argument for this, but probably not, that every single one is great. And I mean the main Mario games. I don't mean Mario Tennis and Mario Kart. I mean Mario games, side-scroller or 3D. Why are those always good? They're always good.
Well, I still think you could probably extend it to the spin-off stuff, the sports titles, because when you play Mario Tennis, there is something special. There's a Mario-ness to that way of playing tennis that is unique to any other tennis game. Like, they've tried to do Mario-like sports titles or side type adventures with other characters and other approaches. Not quite arcadey, not quite, kiddie, but like they're trying to emulate that Mario brand so well. And for whatever reason, no one can seem to do it. So I think that there is a Mario-ness that seems to stick and kind of buck that trend. What are the pros and cons, do you guys think, of relying on sequels so much? Because I think there are both pros and cons, both in terms of the expectations of players, us gamers, in the industry.
We all want more of what we love until we get it, and then it's like, that's too much. Do you know what I mean? We can all say that for our favorite TV shows, movies. Give me more than you get, and you're like, okay, that's enough. But circling to what you're saying, Rob. So Nathan's saying God of War Ascension killed the franchise, but the God of War reboot sequel 2018 revived it. Nathan, was Ascension the old school style of God of War? Because that's kind of like what happened with Resident Evil. By the time 3 and Code Veronica came around, people were sick of the tank controls and it was really dated. And then with 4, they completely redid the controls, and it was like new life. So maybe that's the same thing. Maybe you just mix it up, right? Same universe, but you modernize the control scheme. I don't know.
I also think time has a lot to do with it. If you leave like a good chunk of time between games, then you're not going to burn it out. Maybe it's just proper development and you can like truly enjoy it. Like Mario Wonder came out last fall.
Yeah.
And I know you're not into the 2D platforming Mario stuff, but it was a pretty fantastic
It was
Mario
fun.
game.
It was fun.
And there hadn't been any, Mario 2D platforming games except for what Mario 3D World and the Wii U, and then the updated version of Bowser's Fury on the
Yeah,
Switch. So
3D
it had
World
been
was
a
like
good.
it was
It
like
had
a
like
mix
8 years.
between yeah.
Well, 3D World was, it was basically an isometric 2D platformer. It
Yeah.
wasn't super 3D because the screen was kind of locked. It didn't follow your character. But there had been like 8 years of nothing in between. So it dropped. We knew we had the Mario factor. And so Wonder became instantly great. It wasn't like there was 4 2D Mario games that you had to compare it against. The mechanics, the gimmicks weren't up to snuff. There was just enough time that you could appreciate it because we had missed it long enough, I think.
What I find really interesting about God of War as a comp here is the changes to the God of War reboot were much deeper than just the controls. Like, it's a very different game in terms of story themes, even how it handled its level of maturity, right? Like the original God of War games came from that generation where, for a game to be mature, it just had to be really bloody and there had to be, boobs in it and and swearing potentially, right? But
Yeah.
God of War, like 2018, is, it's a story about fatherhood. It's a story about, mourning and family. It's a very, very, very different game in that respect. Like it's a very strong narrative game too. So I find that really interesting because it's not just as simple as like, okay, well, we move the camera. There's more to it than that.
Was it just more cutscenes? Were we watching more than playing? Was it Last of Us?
I never played it, so but it to me from what I saw was very Last of Us ish, right? But I mean, God of War has never done it for me. I don't know what it is about it, but Portal 2, I don't know if I agree with that. There you go, Glenn.
Portal 2 is great.
Super Metroid. Now this is an example. I just we're just scrolling through these. We're not talking about each one, but this one here, I find. I don't know. Would you guys say sequels are generally better than the original most of the time?
No.
What do you guys think? No,
As
because
evidenced by God of War Ascension.
this one here is a prime example of a game that just destroys the first one in almost every single way.
And so that's
Like
kind of what I was getting at when you have like a technological leap as well between the first game, or at least the previous sequel, and the next one, going from 8-bit to 16-bit, and even like not having to put the password in, for example. There's huge quality of life stuff in this that
Yeah.
and games themselves were that much different by the time Super Metroid came out compared to what Metroid was on the NES. Just that technological leap alone. We won't get that today because the technology's there. It is literally all about gaming and gameplay now.
Mega Man 2. Yeah. They made the levels shorter, they made it easier. The levels were way better designed, had better music. All around, it was just a better game for sure. Hailed as probably the best of the original 6 for sure, I would say. So you want to talk about Mario Kart World. Do you think having Mario Kart in an open world environment where you actually physically have to drive to the next race, do you think this is a good thing, Glenn, for the Mario Kart series, or what would you have done differently? I know the game's not out yet.
Oh man, what a good question. I don't know if
Tough
I have
one,
an
though.
answer for you, Jay. It's when Mario Kart's the kind of thing where I think it's hard to remove it too far from the core of what it is without changing it in a way fundamentally that would make it less fun. So I think it's an interesting addition to gameplay that still kind of works within the boundaries of what they're doing. Like just based on what I saw in Treehouse, it seems less like you're driving to the new course and more like, you know, the drive to the new course is sort of incorporated into that round of tracks, right? Like it's kind of part of the laps you would typically make.
Yeah.
Track. I do find the open world part of it kind of interesting. Like I am intrigued by how much Nintendo seems to be encouraging just like popping in there and driving around at random. And there seems to be a lot of scuttlebutt about what secrets you might find and what hidden things might be existing in the world by you driving out and exploring it with your buddies. So that's kind of interesting to me too. But
it's almost like they're combining like a Mario game with hunting for secrets and secret areas and discoveries with Mario Kart. They're trying to bring some of those elements in there. Ultimately, I think it's going to always come down to how many cool tracks can you make and which ones are popular, and I want to race against my friends. So I get what they're trying to do with Mario Kart World with these transitional areas and this overworld exploratory stuff. You have to bring something new, otherwise you're just releasing 16 new courses, which they had done for the last 25 years. So what are you going to do new that you can also feed for the next 7 to 8 years?
Yeah, and with Mario Kart 8, they released pretty much every single track that's ever been in a Mario Kart. So yeah, where do you go from there? I was half expecting you to be able to get out of the car. Not during the race, but for the open world stuff.
Or at least pit stops. I thought you were going to have to pit and change your tires and add different tire power-ups and a different cart so that you could tackle longer races that are like 50 laps, 100 laps, and constantly make modifications through kind of like a Forza, I guess.
Where do you guys stand on, we're talking about sequels, and there was talk about, the appropriate amount of time in between. Nintendo's certainly good at spacing that out pretty well. Rockstar, maybe not so much. Grand Theft Auto 5 was released
teasing the hype.
2013, 12 years ago, and we saw the one and only trailer. I mean, the trailer so old. This is not my joke, by the way. The trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6 is so old that the remaster of the trailer is coming out next week. Thank you very much. That was not my joke. But then you have something like that where it's a 12-year gap. But you kind of know that when it comes out, it's going to destroy everything. So where's that sweet spot? Like how many years in between sequels? What's a sweet spot, Rob?
One per console generation at the very least for a successful franchise.
So one every 6-7 years around there?
At least, if you can get in at the beginning and one at the end, maybe. I think that's the bare minimum. Unless you have a concept that allows for a reinvention amongst itself. Like Smash Brothers, you only need one per console because you're just adding more fighters, more levels, and same with Mario Kart. So you're going to get one iteration. Now, I don't know how you get Mario Party, like what we had 2 of them on the Switch. Was that really necessary, or could we just, again, take the Mario Kart approach to Mario Party and add more games, expand more boards, add more players?
I personally would rather have one game and build upon that over years. Like, I think that's a really great investment like they did with Mario Kart 8.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So I'm all for them doing that with, that's why I think Fortnite is so successful, right? Because it's just this constant evolution of the same map. Basically, they just change it up. But everything that you collect through all these different seasons, you always get to keep.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, I'm fine with paying for DLC. Nathan's bringing up that Doom 2 came out a year after Doom, and it was that much revolutionary. Well, I would be happy to pay for revolutionary DLC in Mario Kart the way that we were able to with the Switch.
Mario World.
Yeah, I think the GTA formula might actually be the secret sauce. I think if you can make a game that does so well and has such
Once a decade?
legs that you can you can literally release a sequel to it like once a decade plus.
Dude,
You're probably doing something right.
GTA 5 has been on 3 generations. That's crazy.
Yeah. But GTA Online's a thing, right? I mean, that's a going concern. So clearly it's working for them.
Well, yeah, it's
answer
hard to turn that tap off, right? That money tap. Like, how do you turn that off? Imagine you're making, I don't know what they make a day, tens of thousands, I would assume, off GTA, just on online purchases. Like, you got to be hard. It's going to be hard to be like, yeah, let's turn that off completely and then bring out 6, right?
GTA 6 is like, that's as close as you can get to a sure thing in this industry. But even having said that, there's still no guarantee. Right?
What if it came out and it sucked?
Like if you take, you take away the thing that people have kind of built their gaming lives around for 10 years, there's no guarantee they're going to pick up the next thing, right? Like, I mean, you guys, I'm
curious about how much employee turnover there was during the development of GTA 6. There's thousands of people that have a credit on that game at this point.
People have retired. And now if you follow Rockstar on any kind of socials whatsoever, they always are updating, giving you free things for Red Dead Online. They're giving you free things for Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. And every comment is, stop, who cares? Where's GTA 6? Who cares? Like every single person, man. Imagine being like the head of Take-Two and just sitting there and just laughing. Or trying to be a competitor. Trying to release a game anywhere near that. Like, it's crazy. It's almost like there's going to be so many game companies when they finally drop the actual release date that are like, okay, we're pushing back till next year, third quarter.
So what if GTA 6 comes out this year? You going to be satisfied?
Everybody's talking about GTA 6.
Oh God. Right. Quoting that old Dusty. That game's gonna be pretty boss. I think it's gonna be pretty boss. Glenn Stanway, we're gonna go into his.
I think they should do a new movie that previews GTA 6 like they did with the Wizard for Mario 3. What could that be? That would be great.
Fast and the Furious.
I love it.
All right, Glenn. Indies are pushing the video game industry forward, but at what cost?
I think this title is a little bit misleading, but yeah,
let's
talk.
No,
let's talk about
that's
the
not
industry,
a Rolling
guys.
Stone clickbait title, is it?
Let's talk about the state of the game industry right now. It's kind of a shit show out there. We're being totally honest.
Dude, it's like even if you make a successful game, your studio could close because you didn't make enough. Like that's
because it wasn't successful enough.
$1 billion game, and now everybody's laid off.
It's
I'm not laughing at those poor people. It's just scary, dude. Like
it's a wild time, man. So we went many years with some of these bigger studios buying up some of these smaller studios and kind of absorbing them into their essence, like the blob, and buying up these IPs and making these releases. And now we've gotten to the point where we've kind of hit peak. Everybody got bought. And now you're seeing these gigantic entities that are now being sold to these Chinese holding companies, or they're selling off pieces of themselves, or they're laying off hundreds or thousands of people in their workforces. It's been a really, really rough last couple of years in video games. And part of the reason why I kind of wanted to talk about the industry and the direction that's going is Rob was kind enough to introduce me to a game about a month ago called Balatro. I had never heard of this. He's like, this is what I've been playing. This is what's been taking up all my time. Have you checked this out? And I'm like, no. But now that you mention it, I think I saw it on Game Pass. So I should go grab it and I should go check it out. And that's exactly what I did. And I was hooked. It is absolutely brilliant. It's an incredible game. It's addictive. To Jay's point earlier in the stream, I don't think you necessarily need to like poker really even to play it. It's a poker game without gambling, but it's also a roguelike. It's a wild game. And that led to me wondering, okay, how is this game? Where did this game come from? And this was right around the time that it was picking up these Game of the Year awards at GDC. And it was getting a lot of hype, and I had just found out about it literally just as all this stuff was kind of going on. And I read up about this game, and this is a game that was developed by one anonymous guy in Saskatchewan and has now sold 1 million copies in the year plus that it's been available.
That's amazing.
And my question is, how does that happen? Where did this
And
thing
he's been
come
working
from,
on
and how
it
did
for
this happen?
years and years and years as well.
Well, that's, I mean, Minecraft, right? Same thing, Minecraft. What's the other one? Stardew Valley. That's another one. That was one guy. Like Rob said, years and years of development, but there's just like, it's almost like, okay, this is my shot to make a game, right? I'm going to put everything into it. But playing Balatro, it was just fun. I didn't have to invest into this big story.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? There was no big giant story. There was no big cinematic intro. What?
There's instant satisfaction. Like as soon as you start a game, there's instant satisfaction. And
It's a game.
over as quick as possible. Like each round within itself is just as satisfying as the previous one. There's constant challenge. There's an arcade-like vibe. Where do I shove the quarter? Because I love this and I can't play it enough.
I noticed
I'll
the
take any quarters
graphical,
you want to shove in, Rob. You can just send them directly to me.
the graphical
Right,
style was SNK, very Neo Geo, which I caught that right off the bat, which is really cool. But
I'm gonna name drop for a second. Okay, let me name drop. Okay, it's known out there. I'm doing a documentary on John Romero. We filmed with John a couple weeks ago, and the thing that John and I talked about more than anything was Balatro. We just kept talking about Balatro and strategies and why it's so good. I mean, here's the guy that's a co-creator of Doom, Doom 2, Quake, Wolfenstein. Yeah, great. Let's talk about Balatro. And hey, have you seen this Joker? And oh, how do you get this? And what is your strategy for this? And like, we couldn't stop talking about it. It was insane. That's how strong of a game it is.
I did a lot of reading over these last couple of weeks because this, again, like as somebody who's worked in games for a while and somebody who loves games and they like seeing games that are successful, especially when they seemingly come out of nowhere. I really wanted to try and understand, like, why is this game successful? Like, how did this game manage what it's managed? And you guys have both said it. I'm sure other people in chat will say it as well. It is a very good game. It is extraordinarily well made. It's very satisfying to play. It's fun to play. It's incredibly well designed. And I saw a lot of arguments from people, a lot of discourse that was just like, oh, it's just impeccable. It's impeccable. Cream rises to the crop. And then other people in the chat were saying, well, sure, other games are impeccable too, and they don't get this notice. And they say, okay, well, give me an example. And they give an example. Oh, it's more impeccable than that. I don't think it's that simple. It's disingenuous to say that because both of you know being good isn't a guarantee of anything.
And it's not enough.
It's absolutely not enough. So there's certainly more to it than that. I think their marketing team at the publisher, God help me out. I'm trying to remember who published that game now. PlayStack. Thank you. PlayStack's marketing team probably deserves way more credit than they're getting for helping that game be as visible as it was, because part of the challenge is it doesn't necessarily have, I don't know, immediate curb appeal. It's not the flashiest
not
thing
at all
in the world.
I mean, it's the antithesis of marketing. Like, hey, I'm going to market a poker game. Like, hasn't poker been marketed to death and like probably overkill? How do you market, like, you know, the one of the oldest card games ever?
You've really got to play it to get it, but how can you play it if you don't get your foot in the door? So that's I guess that's part of what I wanted to bring up. Is I think it's more complicated than it just being a good game. But it also got me wondering, like, hey, does this mean that with things being as they are in the AAA sphere in game making, does this mean that there's room for indies to potentially flourish again? And that was one of the things I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about. Now, Jay, can you do me a favor and bring up that Steam release chart that I sent you? I just wanted to show this because I want to try and give chat and both of you guys some idea what the average game is up against these days. If you scroll down to the bar graph underneath there, Jay, where it says Steam game releases by year. So This is from SteamDB. SteamDB is where everybody gets their data on Steam games from, whether you're a gamer or whether you work at a game studio and you want to kind of know what's going on Steam. These are Steam game releases by year. Now, what I will say is, of course, this is Steam game releases. This isn't going to cover games that might only be available on consoles or a console. Just the Steam versions.
I think the point is clearly made with these numbers alone, though.
Sure, the graph kind of speaks for itself, though. So, like we kind of saw peak indie. The indie boom, I guess you would say, was what 2005 to 2014ish, 2015. And that's when you started to see all these games that are now kind of critically, darlings that are regarded from that period. You saw your Fezzes and you saw your Braids and you saw your Super Meat Boys and your Stardews and all kinds of things like that. And then I got into the industry around 2015. And when I got into the industry, it was still feasible that you could work at an indie studio and you could just trip over the next Super Meat Boy, right? Like you could just make an awesome game that somehow caught the cultural zeitgeist and rode that to success, right? That was still feasible at that point. I want you to look at those numbers going up right now because it's not anymore. The biggest challenge any game faces is being seen, just having people actually find it. And the reason that is you can see the numbers starkly as day there, right? Like it's just, there's so much stuff out there right now, as is true in all other forms of entertainment as well, right? Film, TV, music, there's so much stuff out there that trying to find the gems is definitely harder than it used to be.
And this is one of the reasons that, studios on the movie side, like Disney and Warner Brothers, release less films. They were competing with themselves, and now they only have to promote 1 or 2 films a month that won't overlap, but will help with synergy, corporate synergy, help promote the next one, as we've all seen with mid-credit sequences. Get ready for 6 months for that credit sequence to pay off and lead into another one, because they can't compete with the digital storefront when nothing has presence. It all depends on placement and discovery and word of mouth. It's impossible to compete with almost 19,000 games and counting every year. What's the tipping point, too? When does this start going down? And what's going to cause that? Because all those tools are out there for anyone to make a game. Is it going to be enough indies that topple the AAA system where $1 billion isn't profit and it's going to cost you 10,000 jobs as well?
Yeah, well, it's ridiculous, dude. Like, I've talked about Spider-Man 2. It had a $350 million budget. Concord was something like almost 300 million. You can't sustain that and expect to make a profit in this notion that you have to beat the year after year. Like, the corporate heads have no idea what it's like to be an artist. I'll stand behind that. It's these poor developers that work friggin' 12, 18 hours a friggin' day, man. I feel so badly for the developers of Concord. Began development in 2016, was released last year for 2 or 3 days. Can you imagine almost a decade of your life working on a game that you can't talk about? It's in secret. It's going to be the next Star Wars meets Overwatch, comes out. Everyone craps on it because, oh no, they wanted to charge you $40 for it. Well, maybe they're behind the times, maybe not. Who knows? But I can't imagine that, man. That's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking to me. It's rough. And get back to Glenn's point. I just think people are sick of these bloated AAA titles like Spider-Man 2. And I'm sorry, Spider-Man fans, but that game is just, I'm so sick of the same thing. It's all shiny, but there's nothing there. You know what I mean?
I think that's where indies will always have a chance to shine, because it's not going to be game by committee, paint by numbers, and hope that your gimmick or your approach is unique enough. Indies don't have that hang up, I would think. Now, that might be completely inaccurate, but at least that's the spirit of indies, where you're going to get variants. You can afford to take chances on a game, and hopefully that it will catch fire compared to the cost that you're sinking into it.
Yeah. So Torshi said Concord was allegedly about 400 mil. Nathan says, we're oversaturated with games. Can't play all the games I want to play. I have to pick ones. Yeah. And dude, even more than that, Nathan, it's our time.
That's what I said. Our
It's the
time is
most-
more valuable than our
Yeah.
dollars.
the most valuable asset that we have, and it's like, dude, like we collect games and stuff like that, and Rob and I have said collecting the games is a game, because the likelihood that we're going to sit down and play all these games that we collect, there's not enough time, and then play new stuff. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but I'm just saying.
The thing is too, like there's so much more competing for that time too. It's the
Oh,
most
yeah.
valuable thing you have, and it's not just games competing for it.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I honestly think the days of indie self-publishing are definitely out the window, because again, that like when I broke in, that was very much a feasible pathway, right? Self-publish, develop relationships, hustle, and you too could be an overnight millionaire if you played your cards right. And those days are gone. And I think what you're seeing now is indie developers trying to make the best possible product that they can, I guess I should say. Trying to make the most marketable product that they can within those confines, or at least trying to find the niche that's going to make their game stand out, and then trying to sell it to a publisher to get it out there so that they can actually afford to market it, to actually let people know about it, because that's the biggest challenge they're going to face, and especially if it's a niche title or it's a game that depends on a weird gimmick or something.
Well, we talked about Sinners, right? You said, "Oh, go check out Sinners." $110 million budget, 65 at the box office. We don't know if it's going to be successful. That's because more often than not, whatever the production budget is going to be equal to the marketing budget. So it's 110 million to make the film, and then it's another 110 million to market it, to put it out there, to make sure it gets in front of people's faces.
What's up, Toes? How you doing, buddy? Good evening, my friend.
So let
Nathan
me ask-
says, sorry, I sold one of my video games to a
No, go
company, ended up working for, it never went anywhere. I mean, that's heartbreaking to me, dude. It really is. Like, and I know, all three of us know, we are all creators, and to create something, we've all had that thing that's tanked, and it really is heartbreaking. I can't imagine
It's
being a game developer once again for 10 years, and then your game comes out and it not only flops, but your studio closes as a result of that. Like, you'd be damaged for life.
It's easy to forget too, but like even the worst game you've ever played has somebody's equity in it, right? Somebody's put their effort and their time and their sweat and their soul and their, potentially their mental health or physical well-being,
Sure.
or their relationships with their family on the line to bring you that title. Like, nobody sets out to make something bad, right? They're trying to make something that they can sell, and it's something that
Sure, but people also
themselves
make
into, right?
decisions to cut corners as well. There are bad decisions made along the way, even though that wasn't the intent going into it.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, let me ask you guys, because I'm curious. I know we spent an hour and a half talking about the Switch 2 and Mario Kart and assorted other related items, like 2 weeks ago. But how are you guys discovering games at this point? What is drawing your attention? Are you finding it's still largely the AAA stuff that's got some notoriety and some name recognition that is drawing your attention? Or are you finding smaller, quirkier, indie style experiences, and that's the stuff that's kind of drawing your notice? Like, what do you see that gets you excited to pick up your next favorite game?
Ooh. I think
Chime in on this too. Curious.
I think the fact that everyone is going insane for not a remaster, but it is a remake of Oblivion, speaks volumes to where the industry is right now. And that's no slight against Elder Scrolls at all. I'm just saying, like, the game came out in 2006, and everyone is like the most excited I've seen people almost all year for a game that we've all played. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's where we're at now. 2 years, I was losing my mind because Resident Evil 4 was once again getting another remake. I don't know, man. I think just trying to think of where I discover.
It's word of mouth more than anything. I mean, I very rarely see proper ads and marketing about games. I'm not on game sites proper that much. I go on Nintendo Life probably a little bit more, and time extension. And if there's a review, I'll skim it. But by and large, it's say 70% word of mouth, 20% some news site, and 10% just randomly looking through an eShop, seeing what's on there that might look different, that might catch my attention.
It's interesting you talked about traditional marketing, Rob, because just as an aside, I read about PlayStack's marketing plan for Balatro, and from what I understand, it was very much focused around streamers. I don't watch a lot of game streams. Like, I don't spend a lot of time on Twitch. So that probably explains why it took me a year and you telling me about it to find out about
Sure.
that game, right? Like, we're not necessarily in the demo that they're trying to sell that game to at this point, but that's the perfect medium for that game, because
I was
you
going to say,
need
that's
to
a
see how
perfect
it
marketing
works.
strategy. Somebody has to
100%.
play it. And as soon as they play it and can show you, then you're sold. You can't put this on a banner somewhere and hope that people want to dive into it. It doesn't look
Rusty
anywhere
knows what's
near
up.
as fun as, it's not like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon cards, or it's not, you don't look at this and think, oh, overpowered poker card game, I can't wait to play it. Like, this looks like really like shovelware in the eShop until you play it.
And even that is even influencers can be, they're being bought at this point, right? Like, that's part of the marketing strategy is the money you're spending on those influencers too. So I mean, it's yeah, I don't know. It all comes back to money and spending, I suppose.
Well, you know what? A good game like Balatro is going to speak for itself, and the best advertisement you can have for a game or a movie or a TV show is word of mouth. Look at Breaking Bad. Everyone had a buddy who said, "You got to watch Breaking Bad," right? One of the biggest shows ever. It's, if you can go around and say, "Oh, Balatro's really good," and you guys said it, I'm like, okay, so I downloaded it today. Let's check it out. That is the best you do. When no one's talking about your game, that's a bad sign. But
I think sometimes it's the other way around, though, right? Like, I think everybody's going to have marketing, but the key is you market it, but the marketing is only effective if the thing that you're marketing is good.
Well, that's the ultimate.
It's cause and effect, right? Like, okay, here's the marketing, but until somebody picks it up and buys into it, and it's like, oh, there is substance here. That's when it's above and beyond marketing, and that's when it works the best. You can't just have something good and hope people discover it. You really almost have to put more emphasis into the marketing, knowing that what you have created will stand up to the hype, the word of mouth, the excitement.
Yeah, a good game will always be known. It will always let itself be known. I'm not concerned about that. We don't have brick and mortar anymore. I mean, not really. For new stuff, what GameStop's left, I think that's it. Walmart doesn't carry them anymore. Best Buy doesn't carry them anymore. So in Canada, Toys R Us doesn't carry them anymore. So we got GameStop, and from what I understand, they barely carry. And if you don't pre-order it, they probably won't even get it in. How many Balatro pre-orders were there? What's that?
It's your destination for Funko Pops.
Oh, God.
And ceramic mugs.
And everything but games, basically.
It's the gaming merch store more than anything.
Yeah. But so, like, not having brick and mortar, I think really, really hurts too. Not that all indie games get physical releases, but some of them do. You don't have that anymore. So trying to get on the front page of Steam's hard, It's difficult.
It's incredibly hard from personal experience.
Like Nathan said, yeah, there's so much entertainment now in every medium except music, in my opinion. But like movies and TVs and games, there's so much more now than there ever was. So it's very difficult. So to answer your question, Rob, long-winded, sometimes I find myself just grabbing Ocarina or Resident Evil, Mega Man 2, just because I know the limited time I have to play this stuff. I know what I'm getting. I know this stuff is good. But
that is exactly why I played Destiny 2 as long as I have. Is I know what I'm going to get. I'm able to time box it. Like, if I got half an hour to play, I know what I can get done. And I have some idea of what the caliber of experience I'm going to get is, right?
It's comfortable too, right?
Flipping into well broken in docks, right? Like,
there you go.
It's comfortable.
And that's not to say, listen, I don't want to contradict myself, because I believe in all these the media that we celebrate, it's very important to move forward. So I do play new games. That's not what I'm saying, but it's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be where I don't discover as much as I used to. I just don't. But I also don't. I think there's a very significant decrease in AAA mainstream titles that are good. Look at Star Wars Outlaws, like absolute
No,
garbage.
I
Absolute
won't
garbage.
look at it.
You know,
The internet has made up my mind for me. I don't need to look at it. That's the other great thing about word of mouth. I don't need, most of the time, if I wait a week, I don't have to worry about getting excited or disappointed. You know, like the verdict will be out there whether I want it or not. Like, oh, I didn't hear about Concord. It doesn't matter. The servers are off. Okay, on to the next thing. I don't have the
but
time to.
isn't that fast though, dude? It's like over. It's like I didn't even know this was, and I was one of these guys. I didn't even know what Concord was until all this started to come
Yeah.
about. I'm like, okay, it's like an Overwatch game, and then it was
It's
just
like a
gone.
horror movie, right? If you give
Yeah.
away the monster, the ending on weekend 1, and nobody cares enough about your twist, you're not going to make it past weekend 2. That's it.
I was trying to think of a place to wedge this in here, but I talked about Alan Wake
Just
2 earlier.
ram
when
it
we were
in.
talking about sequels. I love Alan Wake 2. I think it's fantastic. I really enjoyed the first game. I like the second game even more. I think I really appreciate what it does narratively, how it tells a really meta story about just entertainment in general. But this is a game that it's an incredibly high quality game made by a very well-known developer, Remedy. And that game took over a year and 2 million copies sold before it even broke even and started making a profit.
It's crazy, man. That's ridiculous.
That's the kind of world we live in. And it's a bit of a miracle that game somehow was still able to find its niche and at least flourish to the point where it's started to make a profit now. There's likely to be, tie-in projects and other related projects down the line for it as well. But I mean, that's what games are up against, right? That's part of the calculus we're doing when we're trying to define what success is for a game.
Once again, I will point to Nintendo 64 Quest, a title that I will not profit from for quite some time, but will be leading to other projects if you support it. I don't have to hit 2 million units, thankfully, but that has always been the indie model that we've had to fight against. Like, it's just enough to cover our costs, let alone get paid a wage for doing this stuff, let alone entertain the idea of another chapter. It's so ludicrous and hard to do it in the media landscape because we all expect it for free.
Yeah,
Nathan, I'm in my 40s. I'm not excited for anything that happens at midnight anymore.
I'm excited that I'm asleep and don't have to get up to take a pee.
Yeah, Nathan, I do miss that stuff too, dude. I really do.
My son loves games, and he's so excited for Little Nightmares 3. He watches YouTube conspiracy theories and lore videos that are completely made up by like what people are dissecting in the world. He is breadcrumbing the crap out of everything Little Nightmares and Reanimal, which is the new franchise from Tarsgear Studios. So it is out there. Like when you go down that rabbit hole, which is probably rare, or there's a Fortnite event or a season starting, kids do get excited about that. Like if I told my son that there's a midnight release of Little Nightmares 3, he would beg me to go do it and stay up for it just so he could have the game. And like we used to read the game in the back of the car, open it up, feel it, touch it, smell it. He cannot wait to play that game. It's been years he's been talking about it at this point.
Look at his picture.
I have no idea who that guy is. That guy on the left?
Never heard of him.
That's awesome. Rusty, she says, I'm so excited for Little Nightmares 3.
Yeah, see? There we go.
Torshi says, the video game industry, the most unstable industry for a newcomer and long-term developers.
I had a neighbor from another lifetime ago reach out to me a couple of days ago, and her nephew just finished up, just graduated from Western programming degree, and she's asking me if I knew anybody who was hiring. And it's like, I don't know how you politely try and help somebody out without telling them basically stay as far away as they possibly can.
Yeah,
it's rough out there right now, dudes.
Okay,
it's a
but
tough time to
honestly,
break in,
I think
and it's a
most
tough
of us
time to
that
be in it.
work in an industry that is creative, how many of you would actually encourage somebody to willingly and knowingly get into it? I could never encourage somebody to be a filmmaker. That's way too arduous and so not rewarding on the best of days. It's only when the sum of its parts are considered that you live for those small moments that make all the difficulty worthwhile. And those moments are few and far between.
Packer says, my Etch a Sketch is all I ever needed. I believe it, buddy. I believe
Until
it.
you have to update it until you have to connect it to the internet and get a patch.
Yeah, exactly. Josh says I was excited about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Jerk. The visuals
Indianapolis
made me,
Jones.
yeah, made me feel a little sick. Josh, I don't think you ever played that, did you? You watched me play it, but yeah. We've seen this filmmaking video design courses. They are scams, Torshi says.
You too can make a AAA game and an award-winning movie for $89.99 and 10 equal payments. But wait, there's more. You too can remortgage your house and still not be satisfied or have a hit.
Yeah. That was good. That was good. Still got to come up with that name. We're looking to change that name. I think we want to change from Gamercast to something else. Look at this guy.
My vote is, I've heard of games. It's 4 a.m. That's the best I can do. I'll catch the replay. Have a good one.
Love you, buddy. He's over
I've
in
heard
England.
of games.
Yeah, that was good. I'm still a bitter old man yelling at clouds about Game Pass, yet I still pay for Game Pass, so I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. We're rapidly losing the physical, and I don't like it, but you know, I can bury myself further and say even a lot of the physical discs I have, even when I'm not connected to the internet, if it's a single player game like Gran Turismo 7, it still won't play. So what is it? What is it?
What is it?
It's it.
What is it?
It's it. I just said, what is it?
They
It's
say
it. Oh, it's very
It's true,
smart.
boys. We want it all, but we can't have it.
Says you, buddy. I got Game Pass. I'll see
Well,
you.
they take that away.
I got Indiana Jones for free.
Just a
1999.
reminder, we are still looking for our For Realsies name, to Jay's point. I very much would like to get an audio version of this Gong Show up for your listening pleasure on Spotify and other podcasting platforms, but we need a For Realsies name in order.
I
to
like
do
triple
that.
press
We want you
start.
to be able to find us.
That's my vote. Triple press start. That's what I like.
Triple press start is the front runner right now.
And sold. Going
Whatever.
once, going twice.
I said I
Get your
really-
get your nomination in right now
I
and
don't care.
win grudging respect.
For
The
$30 a
Right.
month, you too can have a vote.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Oh,
It's in
my
your face, but I can't grab it. Also, Gamercast is the name of the show now and forever.
Until
Matt
Nintendo
Miller, ladies
Fest
and gentlemen,
as
legend.
organized. Nintendo Fest is
Unfortunately,
coming
it's
as
the-
organized by Stanbuck.
Oh yeah, we got
Unfortunately-
Prickridge back just for that. We tricked him. He doesn't know why he's really here, but Glenn
I didn't realize
owes
it, no.
us Nintendo Fest.
Unfortunately, Matt, is also the name of about 14 or 15 other shows from what I've seen, which is why
Yeah,
we're
but
bringing
listen,
it
it says J Rob and the other guy. Like
up.
it's
J-Rob
Gamercast
Stanley.
with. It's not just Gamercast, so there's no fear in that. There you go, retrospective.
We'll just call it
Something
not
like that.
Gamercast. Retrospective was like the second answer on ChatGPT.
Josh is like, damn it.
I
You know how
discovered.
to work that too, eh? Hell of a tool, that thing. Hell of a tool. Super Pod Boys. Oh my god. Nathan, you're fired. Oof.
You know what? I don't care if you made $1 billion off that title. You're going to get laid off.
I never used AI. Oh, that's such an AI response, Josh.
This was not created by AI. I swear AI didn't tell me to say that.
I think it's pronounced A.
Oh, We are coming at you live every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Daylight Savings or whatever the hell we're in right now. I'd like to thank you guys, the wonderful live audience, for hanging out with us. Glenn Stanway, any parting words for this wonderful audience?
Yeah, this is a fun one. Thanks very much to chat for participating. Really cool to see your thoughts on all these topics that we were discussing tonight. And looking forward to getting back at it again next week. Uzab, what have you?
Another plug for N64 Quest. The discs are literally disappearing. We have DVD and only 3-disc Blu-ray. We're sold out of the 2-disc Blu-rays. Seriously, grab them while you can. They are limited. They will be gone. And we will be completely turning our attention towards Super Nintendo Quest. And I hope to make, a bit of every show, a little bit of an update of where we are with production as well and what's going on. So we can start breadcrumbing the crap out of that.
And Josh got his at Game Cycle. That's right.
Nice.
I was with him. Me and Will were with him. It was really awkward. Although I'm grateful, but he's like buying it. I'm like, I'm gonna go over here.
Isn't that? You're just like, huh? Wait, what?
You're that guy.
You're him.
Oh, thanks, man. I love you too, buddy. Hope you guys are doing good. I'm coming back at you tomorrow. Oh, Rob, you got to say your goodbyes first. Yeah, you say go.
Yeah, bye.
I'll be back tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Resident Evil 4, as voted by you, the legends. So we're going to start that tomorrow. Then Friday, Will and I are coming at you with Electronic Gaming Monthly number 44, which has Star Fox on the cover. Oh, the Booger Man. So that'll be fun. All right, guys. I got to get sleep. I don't know Glenn moved back to Ontario. This is getting ridiculous. Can't keep these late nights up. All right, guys. I love you. I'll see you later.
Sun out here.
Goodbye.